We are in the Frankie Rollins kitchen with executive chef Ted Polfelt. He is representing Corned Beef and Company, and today you're making pizza dough.
Thanks.
Which is something that both JD and I were talking, we don't do.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's so easy. I like to make it at home with my kids, and we make it at a couple of our restaurants. We have a brick oven at Corned Beef and Company. We also have one at 419 West, but that's a whole different flavor. But today I'm going to show you how to make pizza dough from scratch. We're just starting with some flour. Really simple. I've got some semolina flour here, which is what I used to coat the bottom of the pizza with. You can actually change part of this flour with the semolina. It's durum wheat flour, and what it does, it adds texture. If you look at homemade pastas, most of the extruded pastas that have a little bit more of a bite or a coarser texture, it's like semolina.
Very cool.
Okay.
So flour, nice and simple. I like to add my dry ingredients first. Salt, because we flavor everything. Yeast, this is instant dry yeast. I believe the recipe I gave you was active.
Yes.
The instant, you can add right in with the dry ingredients. You don't have to bloom it. If you use active or anything else, you need to bloom it in the warm water, somewhere in the 90 to 105 degree range. That way it starts to come to life, because yeast is an active organism.
That's what scares me.
But if you use instant, you don't have to worry about it.
You don't have to worry about
great.
that. Oh, all right. Okay.
So we've got our yeast. We're going to add a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of honey, which if you want to take that.
Very cool.
Don't worry, you don't have to use your fingers.
Okay. All right.
And some water here, which we've temped somewhere in the range of 90 to 105. If you get too hot, yeast actually dies at the thermal death point around 115, so you don't want to kill it, because it is a live organism.
That's amazing.
Oh,
Anything too low, in the 70s or 60s or lower, you want to put it in your fridge overnight to where it's hard, because it takes time to come to life.
Sure.
Which is why I'm just going to show you how to put it together. We've got a little finished product here, but you can do this in a stand mixer, KitchenAid. It's a little bit easier, but I think there's a certain connection to make it from scratch and kind of watch it come together.
True.
It's just like making bread. So we're just going to make...
Which I've never done before either.
We'll do that. We'll do that next. Always add the water in stages, because you can never take it out, but you can always add more in.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
totally.
there's so many factors depending on the humidity, the weather,
Sure.
all that stuff on how much water. So there's never really an exact recipe with some of this stuff. Some of it does take some eye and to move around. So like
That's the thing. That's a good thing to hear too, because sometimes with baking, it's not like when you're like cooking a steak on a grill. You're like, well, I can tell it's done.
Yeah.
When you're putting something in the oven, you're doing ingredients like this. It does. Even though I cook a lot, it'll scare me, and so it's nice to know that. Well, maybe it does just need a little bit more water.
Which is the case right now.
That's awesome.
Okay. All right.
That's all right. So
So if it looks like that, add some more water.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So once you work it in a nice dough ball, you want to continue to work it until you form what we call a gluten window. And basically, you're activating the gluten. There's gluten present in every flour, but it's not present until you get it mixing. So if you were doing this in a mixer, if I take that, it's shaggy, right?
Yes.
Right.
But if I had activated the gluten and kneaded this long enough in a mixer by hand, you'd be able to stretch it and see a very thin window. And that tells you that the gluten's activated, you've got some elasticity in the dough, and it's ready to go. Which I'm not going to be able to go through the entire process today, but you see how I'm kneading it, pushing it forward and pulling it back, and that just helps activate that gluten. We're still a little dry. So once you've...
gastronomy happening right here.
It really is.
It's the same stuff you guys can do at home. So once you've formed a dough ball and you've got that gluten activated, you can pull it apart and you see that thin wave. I've got some dough here that we left overnight
Okay.
that we let sit with a little oil on top. And
that's
so
beautiful right there.
pulled it
See
out,
that?
give it about 10 minutes of room temp, and so we're ready to go. Depending on how big your dough is, how big you want to make your pizza, the way we do it at most of our restaurants is 1 ounce equals about 1 inch. So if I want to make a 12-inch pizza, 12-inch or 12-ounce dough ball.
Cool.
So that's a really easy thing that you can remember.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're running out of time, but I want to mention what you made right here.
Yeah, we've got we made a pizza out of this dough, and it's got some bourbon-soaked apricots, which we just let the dried fruits soak in some bourbon, some water and sugar, some arugula, and
I soak myself in bourbon all the time.
Right? It's a good thing, especially Memorial Day weekend.
I love it. Okay, we're going to share the pizza dough recipe with our viewers, so log on to daytimeblueridge.com and click on food and look for the pizza dough. In the meantime, head on over to Corned Beef and Company, and you can get yourself a pizza
That's right.
made in the brick oven right there. Okay, and we will be right back, and we're going to try it.